just a quick reminder, look up the laws, okay? Look up the protective order laws in Washington State and here in Jefferson County, Washington. Okay. Now, if you're in Seattle or somewhere, you might get an attorney, and this might not be true. But if you're in Port Townsend, look at the law for protective orders. You got some English there? Okay. If someone harasses you, you can get a protective order against them. Okay. Now, the definition of harassment is your opinion, whatever you think. If you feel like that they've annoyed you, then you can get an anti-harassment order against them and get them for criminal charges. If you feel that they've defamed you, you can get a protective order. They don't have to prove defamation. They don't have to prove that they've ruined your reputation. In real courts, you have to prove you had malice. You had to prove that you didn't know it was true, and you get to prove whether what you said is true or not. But in Port Townsend, they say, "Oh, he would never do that," and that's not true. They ignore all evidence and they just pick who they like. So whatever you're doing online, if you got art, you got poetry, you do any sort of journalism or investigating, blogging, or telling your story maybe about your abuser or your childhood abuse or domestic violence when you were a child, or how you got PTSD, or what people did to you, in high school, or just sharing anything of your story. If they don't like it and it hurts their feelings, they shut down your speech. They chill speech. They break every law that I ever learned in all of my 20 years of working with the defamation cases and malice and, what it is to chill speech. They do that here in Port Townsend. They actually silence people to report on crimes. And I've seen it with many people, not just me. If you report on a crime, they investigate you and they go after you if it's one of their friends. So someone asked me the other day, said, well, if the law says that you've harassed them, it's unlawful harassment, so that's crime. The law says that you did that because you told about what they did to you, right? Or something like that. And I said, yeah, what they did to us. Well, I witnessed them doing bad things, and then other people came to me and showed more bad things. They called me and many other women in town TERFs, a violence inciting word. Have you seen the stuff out there about TERF? Go to TERF is a slur, I think it's .org. That's hate, wishing death and hate upon people. Okay, so they called me and these other women TERF, Nazi bigot. They went on podcasts and bragged about their guns. They gave guns to the people that were in the mob and on the other side of the issue, even gave armor and concealed carry to city council according to public records, right? We got real world crimes against us, right? And I don't know, I didn't tell you guys, I don't know if I look pretty calm in all my videos, right? But I wasn't. And what happened to me next is, there's a lot to it. The PTSD that happened to me was pretty strong, and I have some flashbacks really bad. And they think it was a mosh pit and nothing happened because that's how they think. But after I spoke, and it took a lot for me to speak, and I had to go to the bathroom, and they got even louder. So the noise and me standing there, me trying to breathe, after my speech, someone else was holding my camera during my speech. So afterwards, I went against the wall and I blacked out. And that's how I met some of the people of the Free Press. They held me up, and it took me a couple minutes to come to. And so this stuff is serious, whether they take it serious or not. Some of the women moved out of the county. Some of them are so afraid they don't want to talk about it again. Others have really good evidence against these people, but they're scared to death of Antifa, which is led by the city government. And, when you got the mayor that praises the violence and the cops that praise the violence and stand and watch, and the prosecutors who ignore it, these women were really scared. They're scared where they've moved to. They were really upset and heartbroken at what the system allowed to happen to them. But then they just had all of these emotional flashbacks, and, they still paint them out as sweet and good guys, and we're the terrorists. It's definitely a clown world, an upside down world. But this is your reminder to get a protective order against me and against anyone you want that has annoyed you, that you think what they do is illegitimate. Okay. The craziest things online, cat videos of people I've seen. What was it the other day? A contest between Biden and a head of lettuce. People video themselves sleeping, right? All of this would be a illegitimate purpose for the Jefferson County courts. Judge Mack, Judge Rimson, Judge Walker, Forbes. It's all, they don't understand it, even though people are monetizing it. This is the modern world. So they'll give a harassment order to anybody who wants it, and they will definitely stop your speech. So it doesn't matter if, say, you have a history of domestic violence, say, your husband or whatever has done all these bad things, and you have like 10 years of records of it. You go to the courthouse as the abuser and tell them the other side did it, and they go, oh, okay. And then they go after the victim. Now, in Port Townsend, I've been here 12 years, and I've seen that in Keith Harper's court. I've seen that in mini court. Didn't see it in Landy's court, really, but that's how they do it. And they get, big wages. Like Judge Mindy, I just saw, makes, like I said, $200,000 to $500,000, which is a very broad range, but so they get big money to do it. So they really want to please their voters, and they don't want to obey the law. That's just how it works. So that's the key, right? You harass someone, abuse them, take their property, leave them for dead, forge documents, you name it. You can do anything you want to someone, and then you go to the courthouse and you say they did it to you and they offended you and they have harassed you by telling people what you really did, and then you can get a protective order against them. You can do this with anybody in your life. You can go online and fill out the form, but then you have to sign it and then take it to the Jefferson Courthouse. And it's free. It's free if it's for a vulnerable adult. It's free if it's a domestic violence situation. So even if it's the abuser that files it, they can file it for free. And so what I've seen over the last 20 years, because it was before even Port Townsend, the abuser uses the protective orders to continue going after the person. Like Rimson gave one of the people that I was trying to get help, the individual, you probably know the body bag comment by now, right? I'm trying to get her a protective order against him to help her, and the courts give a protective order against her and protect him. Then this is what they do. Over 20 years, I've seen men do this. And then he'll harass her, text her, message her, taunt her online. Doesn't even live in the county, but she can't go to the boatyard because he might go there sometime. And he spent time at her home, went to her house, pretended to be friends with the landlord to stay there, pretended I'm helping him, ran her out of her living space, so affected her emotionally, financially, physically. And Judge Mack, Judge Walker, and Judge Rimson and Forbes are either naive or very corrupt. But what they aren't is they are not supporters of protecting domestic violence victims. Judge Mindy Walker has some sort of foundation, I guess, in Indiana or somewhere about children and helping women. No, she doesn't help women. She helps Mindy, which is by politics. When I watched her in the Michael Allman case, I thought she was the best judge I'd ever seen. She called him out. She goes, now, who is CVAR? Who's CVAR? Now, who's this? She really was giving them the riot act and doing good with the law. I was really impressed. And then the next hearing and the next hearing and the next hearing, she started to change. So I don't know who got to her about what. But then all of a sudden, the victim was the bad guy and got criminal charges and lost his dog and nearly lost his life. And she didn't even care. And if she cared, there's nothing she could do about it because the machine's all sewed up. So go to the Jefferson County Courthouse, get a protective order against me. My name is Crystal Cox, and my email is reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com. So if I've said your name on anything and you don't like it, if I've done a bad review of your business, if I didn't like a steak at your place, or I had an opinion about you at all, or you've ever seen me downtown, get a protective order against me, because that is lawful, and that's how they work in Port Townsend. I did not do one thing unlawful. I didn't defame anybody. I'm even forbidden to go to the YMCA. Because YMCA management got a protective order against me through one of their, how do you say, instead of mistress, you say mistress, but they call it Polly. But anyway, they made it so that I can't talk about YMCA management or go to the YMCA, right? Chilled speech. It's completely illegal in a real court. But, you just you harassed management. Really? Management incited a mob against me, told the police I was crazy and dangerous, did a whole bunch of stuff to enact real world violence against me and others. But I'm not allowed to say their name. Beetlejuice. Right? That's the corruption in Port Townsend. So I'm asking you to help me. I'm a collector. I'm asking you to help me collect some more protective orders. Jefferson County Courts, protective orders for all.